All right, guys. Well, this is our first episode of Movie Breakdown. I'm your host, Paul, and my co host is Yvonne Carlo.
What's going on, guys? I'm Yvonne.
Hey, guys. So, this show isn't like the. Um, this isn't like Total Focus where we're going to be doing it every Thursday and I'm bringing on a guest. This is another formatted show where we're going to talk about movies. So, the whole channel of Total Focus, the podcast channel, is to bring people of the movie, photography, pageant, cheerleading world and into the world. And one of the things that I really enjoy as a photographer and as a movie maker is movies a lot. So I have this awesome actor here, Yvonne Carlo,
Thanks, Paul.
who's going to be really becoming a superstar. And as much as time as he's going to give us to us, he's going to be my co-host. So hopefully we'll do some shows over the phone and in person. We'll see how the show goes.
Be here.
Yes. So the first thing we need to discuss is our format. So I think for all of our listeners that just want our opinion on the show that we're breaking down, and we're not necessarily going to focus on the most recent movies that come out. We might do something like maybe Transformers from 1986, or maybe we're gonna do some horror movie that we really both like that we want to give our opinion on. But the first one we're gonna do is Midsummer, as the title card showed. But we first want to tell you how we want to break down the show. So, Yvonne, what do you think we should do this? I believe in doing the 5-star ratings. Most people like that.
Okay, we can definitely do 5 stars.
Okay, 5 stars.
That'll be hard, but that works.
Okay, but I think in the 5-star, this is where I think it can be a little easier. I think you could do a half a star or a quarter star.
Ooh, okay.
So do you want to do half or quarter?
Ooh.
So you could do, and I think it's actually, and this is where I think we can be super critical. I believe in a 0. Yes. That meaning that yes, and that means
funny, Paul.
that means one. If it's a 0, that means that we both consistently believe that it was properly shot, but the movie was not intelligent, or maybe the movie wasn't properly shot and it's just what they call hilarious. A lot of our people that watch on, they have what they call hilariosities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that could be just our definition.
0.
So a 0 is a hilariosity.
Okay.
A movie.
But if we use 0, we have to have like the best reason
it's
why.
a perfect 0, right?
It needs to be, yes, exactly.
Right.
Cool.
So the 0 will be officially designated as a special case scenario in which we both agree. We have to 100% unanimously agree that it's a movie that meets a special requirement.
All right.
Is that good?
Sounds good.
Okay. So,
but I guess we should go with quarter stars too. Then that's how it normally is done, right? Like on IMDb and
or
all that stuff.
Or I think that, or at least a half star, because I think quarter star might confuse people, but at least a half star.
Okay, let's do half star.
Okay,
let's do half star.
All right. So, to me, I've seen Midsummer twice. My first impression seeing it was I was absolutely blown away, and very surprised by what I was seeing. What was your first impression?
Honestly, my first impression was I felt like it was a very physical experience watching the movie. I felt like I was very like dizzy and disoriented throughout half of the movie just because of the like psychedelic things that are constantly kind of just like thrown out, but not thrown out because it's in the background happening. So not to say that I was disturbed, because ultimately the movie is phenomenal, but it was not easy or pleasurable to watch. I had to invest a lot of energy to really pick apart everything and stay active, I think.
I had the pleasure of seeing it for the first time with you, but my second time, and then me watching the best parts, I watched your eyes.
Yeah.
And it was really fascinating how both you and Adriana, your eyes like completely like doubled inside at the most crucial points.
Yeah, 'cause it's a really smart movie.
Yeah.
Really smart movie.
So, guys, to make things easier, would love for you to sit here and listen to us gab for, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour, but we're going to give our rating. So, when you guys see the movie breakdown on the list, we're going to give you a quick synopsis like we just did, and then we're going to give you our rating. So, Yvonne, being my co-host, I'd love for you to give your first opinion and rating.
Okay.
Remember, you can have anything between 1 and 5, because I would. Here's how we're going to do the 0. We both agree it's not a 0, right?
Agreed.
Okay.
Definitely not a 0.
It's not on the board. So anything between 1 and 5, with a half star.
Okay.
And you can, and I don't know if that's breaking the rule. You can do 5.5 stars.
Whoa.
So that's like a really super good movie.
Okay. I definitely enjoyed the movie, so my rating, whatever it is going to be at the end of this little monologue, will reflect that. But I'm curious as to how we're going to consistently rate movies.
Mm-hmm.
Are we considering?
I want you
Just
to,
because, like, for example, Midsummer, I could argue it being a 5 out of 5,
right?
Because the movie is phenomenal. However, I personally didn't have the most fun watching it, or it wasn't as intriguing as other movies I've seen. I shouldn't say intriguing; it was very intriguing, but in a different way. So how do we?
So because you're a trained actor, I want you to really hone on that. So because maybe as the videographer and photographer of the group, I'm gonna more focus on cinematography, the look, the atmosphere. You can look more on acting, on approach, and then what genre was it properly? Was in the right genre?
Well, okay, I'm gonna say I give Midsommar a 4.5.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a pretty high rating because I think the cast was pretty stellar. Florence Pugh, who played Danny, was very believable. Okay. And there was not a moment in which I was watching her saying, wow, I don't believe you. Everything she did on camera, each take, very much so believable, to the point where it was kind of sickening. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm confused as to how to rate the movie, because I didn't personally feel good watching it, but I was watching this actor, well, these actors, but especially Florence, really embrace this, like, adult fantasy, creepy, kind of, like, dark, but light because there's no darkness in the movie vibe.
But see, that's where I would say the lightness, the light comes at the end. But we can break that down.
Sure.
So your rating is a strong 4.5.
I give it a 4.5.
I would have to say, based on lighting and the way it was shot. Now, the whole premise is that it's supposed to be midsummer. It was released that summer solstice. So if you had saw it right in that time frame, the sun is at that point. It's very long, driven out. The sun is very high, so you're going to get those very weird shadows on your eyes. And I think they shot it the right way. I would have to say it's a 5, in my opinion. Cool. I think it was really well shot. I love, if I don't know if you recall, remember that overhead shot where they did it upside down?
Yeah,
it was really cool.
But so, that's what I'm saying. Like, that was amazing to watch, but that made me feeling super dizzy and
exactly
disoriented to the point where I guess I felt like the people who were on shrooms the entire movie.
And that's exactly the point. They wanted to get you disorganized and make you understand that this is not Earth.
Yeah,
this is somewhere.
Oh, you think that it's not Earth?
Well, maybe in not the vein of Earth, but this is not the normal plane of existence.
They're elevated somehow.
Yeah. We're going to a world. We're going to a place that, like, left is right and right is left.
Did you get the vibes that the events that occurred in the movie were, like, preordained, predestined, and, like, inescapable, like, no matter what?
From what I could get, and I've watched breakdowns on YouTube, the gentleman who invited the 3 guys to it, he was required to bring
Pele.
Yeah, Pele was required to bring 3 people that they would actually kill. So that was predestined. He had his requirement to go to the next level and be a part of the, and that's the way I got it. is that he was required to go find people because they kept on saying they had to find outsiders to continue their group. Otherwise, they would be inbreeding.
Yeah.
So there's all that stuff that was really interesting.
See, and that portion of the movie is a part that kind of fell flat for me, only because I don't specifically remember how their like religious text looked, but I remember there was a lot of like paintings and gashes and like things that have no meaning to us, but maybe they see it as something else and they can read it.
To me, it looked like there was no text at all. It was all painting.
Yeah, and then they show the person who's inbred and very severely not, almost like unhuman.
Right.
As their
he has major deformities on his face, like big overmality lips and
bulbous.
Bulbous. And I don't know if that's a form of inbreeding. I'm not.
I wonder if it's like generational inbreeding like that.
Yeah.
And
but that was
had another inbred person.
Definitely there was a core that they were going to kill all the outsiders, and they were going to definitely use them to be part of this Midsummer festival, because no one else was being killed. The only people that were being killed that were part of the group were volunteered. The people that burned in the house, they volunteered. They volunteered to
also the people who like
jumped
dissented against the religion, like
exactly.
the people who like were like, this is not good to do, were also murdered.
Exactly. So here's my argument. I love Danny. I adore Danny.
Yeah.
But I think Danny's only a great character because she has such an awful boyfriend. Her boyfriend is played so evilly. So that, to me, that's a great actor because he's so not attentive. Like, all the three guys are sitting there telling him, you should break up. You should totally break up with her. You know, she doesn't mean anything to you, you know. And the only reason he stays with her is because we find out in the first 30 seconds of the movie that her sister has a manic breakdown and murders her.
Do you think that that's why the character stays with her?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, interesting.
Are you not getting that vibe?
No, I disagree, only because they've been together for 4 years.
So you're saying that
and
you think
I
it's
doubt that, like, because the opening scene is like, not the opening scene, but his introduction, his introduction to the movie is him at a bar with his friends, yeah, and they're all like, "Dude, break up with her. It's been 4 years. You're not." But the point is that, like, when you're in a long-term relationship like that, where everyone's telling you not to leave this person, not to be with this person, and you're still with that person for that long, I don't know. I feel like
now is that coming?
His character's been very interesting to me just because I've listened to a couple of his interviews. His name is Jack Rayner, and I remember watching him and not feeling any kind of special anything, except towards the end of the movie. But listening about his process, he was very active with the director in kind of crafting this person who ultimately he decided was... Cause Jack Rayner in the beginning of the process said that this character is very one note with how he's written. He's very much like douchey thing, douchey thing, douchey thing, douchey thing, and there's no real like humanity there. But then ultimately they come up with the idea that maybe it's not that he's one note, but maybe it's that he's really struggling to find his sense of autonomy, and that's why he does these things like betrays one of his best friends and like steals his thesis idea. And
see, my argument back would be maybe he just doesn't have a heart and he's just a cold bastard.
Well, you could definitely say that, but I don't know if that's the most productive way to look at someone when you're going to play them.
No, I know, but your argument is you think that he's a lost soul is your argument, and that he's trying to find who he is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And
to me, that's
when
just
that
hard.
comes.
To me, it's hard because I watched the movie twice. You saw, and that's where I think we should definitely watch.
A movie to see twice.
Yeah. Watching it the second time, he comes off more and more because you see Dan. I want to give Danny the biggest hug in the world. I feel you guys. I hope you really watch this movie because Danny is, to me, I know, she continues to not progress, and she stays in this point where she's always mourning, but.
You think?
Yeah, because she at the end of the movie, I think she finally has the aha moment because the girls, when she starts to cry, they all cry with her, And remember they said, we do things in unity. We do things together. So I thought that was...
Which is something that she'd been very lacking.
And that's what she wanted. She wanted empathy, and she wanted someone to be like, if I cry, I want you to cry with me. And that was... Well, he wasn't going to do that with her. He was just like... I mean, he forgot our birthday, for Christ's sake.
He really did. He really did.
I'm like, how can you date someone for almost 5 years and literally forget their birthday?
Yeah. And if you forget their birthday, make it such a little deal. Like, all he did was hand her a cake that he didn't even make. With the candle he didn't even... You know what I mean? Like...
Well, see, and I guess to me, that really proves that douchebags, honestly, still can keep girls around. Because that wouldn't be written that way if it wasn't for a fact that actually happens. That bad guys do get girls sometimes. So.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, that definitely exists. But I also think that it's just very indicative of where they both are in their lives, and that's why Ari wanted that moment, because ultimately it says that this guy is so not present in his everyday life that he doesn't know that his person who just lost her family in a really violent way has a birthday coming up. On top of that, homegirl who just had her entire family like gassed in their house.
But remember, it's been 6 months.
It's been 6 months.
Because
but mentally speaking, she's still at a point where she can't demand anything from anyone. Right. Including the man that she's with, because he forgets her birthday and she lets it go.
Now, did you get the point that her sister kills herself on the winter solstice? And this is the summer solstice. Like,
what's the relationship between the winter solstice and the summer solstice?
So the idea is that death happens. You know, we mourn. You know, that's why that's why the Christian religion moved, because technically, if you read the Bible, Jesus is born in the middle of the summer. Mm-hmm. But they moved the celebration of his birth to the end of the winter solstice. That's what we're actually celebrating. We're not celebrating. Technically, we're actually celebrating the winter solstice, which is what Christmas is. Christmas is a celebration of the winter solstice.
Yeah.
Because they want to, in the old days, it was a pagan religion to celebrate the winter solstice. So they wanted to remove the pagan, killing things to a positive. Yeah. So that's why. So you take that pagan. So if you take it literally, this is how I'm thinking it. You take that negative thing that happens in the winter solstice, and now we go to the summer solstice.
What happens in the winter solstice?
Well, what would happen? You would kill things, and you would have a seance and everything.
Oh wow!
You kind of do the same thing for the summer solstice, but it's supposed to be a celebration of life,
like rebirth.
Right. Exactly. So to me, this is how I'm thinking: is that. So it's been 6 months. That's why I was like, oh, this is so good. We start at the winter solstice when things are dead and cold and hard. And then we move 6 months when things are beautiful and bright and happy. And see the consistent? And my brain is just going off like, oh, yeah, this is so awesome.
Totally. Ari Aster is very detailed.
Yeah.
I would say very much detailed.
So, and I'm like, okay, and she's still sad. And then to me, at the end of the movie, she's like, yes, I am the queen. I'm,
reborn.
Yeah. I am
divine almost.
I forget the name of the flower. The
Mayflower? May Queen?
I am the May Queen.
I am the May Queen. Yeah.
Because she's sitting there in that huge flower dress, okay? That is like a big cone. And she's just sitting there smiling,
Totally.
It's literally her 5-year or 4.5 year boyfriend literally burns alive.
In a bear.
In a bear.
A bear. And that was another thing. Like, it's really hard to, like, it was just gross. It was awesome. Don't get me wrong. Awesome, but, like, disgusting. And it was like, I'm really having a hard time enjoying this, but I enjoy it. And wow.
The scene that really gets me is when they walk past the bear and they're like, yeah, what's the bear for? And they all, it's such a great scene because it's like, it's totally
everything is foreboding.
It's totally, and then the next scene, if you really are paying attention, they actually outline the courting ceremony. So there's a little painting there in the courting scene. So the girl takes her pubes, she cooks it in the pie, and then she takes her blood from her ladyhood. She puts it in. She puts it in. She puts it in the glass, and then to make it even worse, because he's so stupid, everyone else's drink is yellow, right? Because it must be like lemonade, and his is dark red. Okay, like this guy is so deaf and dumbass. Like he's so. He's like a horse that has shutters on. He can't see left or right.
Yeah.
Okay? And he doesn't look to left or right to see that his drink is completely different. Like it's so I love the way it was shot. That they shot that long shot and you can see every other person's drink. And his drink is the only one that's red. Okay? And he just like looks at it and he just drinks. And I'm like, you gotta be stupid. Like there's something going on with you.
Exactly.
Just not paying attention.
There's something going on.
Right.
He's so not.
And then when he eats the pie, and he pulls the one hair, that is so good. It's not disgusting. It's just so good because just the like, I'm like, wow. Just the way it was shot, I thought it was great.
You know, it is great. It's very artistic. It's just so grotesque.
That's why, artistically wise, from an art directive, that's why I'm saying I'd give it a 5.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
So
they built a world, and
they totally could. If you think about it, they could have totally screwed up that shot. You know how they could have totally screwed the shot up. One, they could have made all the drinks look almost the same, so it would have been inconspicuous.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
Two, they could have made the pie with the hair on top and made it like totally obvious. But they made it so it was actually stuffed in the pie, so it was just like they had to he had to eat it. You know, it didn't just have to like sit there. That was, he had to make the action.
Yeah.
You know, he had to, just like they say, Adam and Eve chose to bite the apple. The apple just didn't, they made that decision. So he made the decision to eat the pie.
Totally.
So from an acting standpoint, I would love for you to give your opinion. Do you think these performances overall, do you think we're looking at any nominations at least for Golden Globes?
Whoa. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do think that I think that there are a couple actors who would be deserving of one.
Okay.
I think that Florence Pugh has made a really. I know that she had kind of a career before this. I can't really recall any other. I'm looking at her IMDb.
I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with most of the cast. The only gentleman I do know is the young skinny kid who decided to desecrate the.
Oh yeah. Will Pootler.
Yes, I've
the
seen
guy who played
Will.
Mark.
Yes, I'm familiar.
From Narnia?
Yeah. Yes.
Totally. He's really good. I liked him.
He's got that weird, like awkward. He plays that great. If you need someone who's like that person that is the awkward person in the group, I think he plays great in a group setting where he's in a cast. But I don't know if he's a leading man.
Oh, I think I agree. I like the way that he looks and the way that he sounds. He's kind of always like the contrarian. Like no matter in what group he's in, he doesn't stick with the group. He's always the one that has a separate idea. So like he's the one that pees on the tree. He's not the one that's respectful. He's vaping his pen. He does whatever the fuck he wants to do. And then
He's
in
the one
Narnia,
person,
similarly too, he kind of was like that as well.
He's the one person, I don't understand why he's there. He's the one for any reason that should have been killed right from the get-go, because
True.
He's not there to do research. He's literally there to like have sex with as many people as possible.
But he wasn't around for any of those huge like he wasn't there when the two people jumped off the cliff.
No, he totally like pieced out.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like that's why he kind of just like lasted that long, because he wasn't actively going against the norms of their society. But then the two people who played the couple that were really trying to leave, and then like I remember when the wife is like, "Where's my husband?" and then like, "Oh, he took a truck and he's gonna come back for you," and then it's just like obviously weird.
So there are two groups of outsiders. There's the group that come with the four guys and Danny, and then there's this British couple that come with the other brother. So there's two twin brothers that are sent to the outside world. One goes to Great Britain, the other one goes to America. And the brother from Great Britain brings in this engaged couple, and he has a thing for one of the girls because he specifically says that I went on a date, and the girl says, no, we weren't on a date, we just hanged out. And it was so awkward, dude.
Super
so awkward. And then the guy's like, yeah, we're engaged. And I'm like, dude, like I'm thinking, like, are you going to rape her, like, during this thing? Because that was the first, like, that was the one I'm thinking, like, something weird. But
it was weird, yeah.
Because we never really just established what happened to her. Because we know that they killed the
husband.
The husband. We know the fiance. We know. But, But we don't know what exactly happened to her, right?
We didn't see her body at the end of the movie?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't recall seeing her body.
I
mean, they chopped up the body so much, it was really hard to just determine. Like, you could figure out who was who. Like, we realized that the smartass was the tree guy.
Yeah.
Because they literally carved off his face. That was weird.
That was wild.
Anyway, and then the black student, they buried him in the garden with his foot up. Like, it's like they didn't know how, like, they live in this community, they don't know how to bury a body. They literally bury, like, I don't know if it was a warning or what, like that, like a scarecrow or what. Like, it was the weirdest thing.
I think it was very, like, symbolic of something that they do usually.
Okay.
Like, you know how they were planting the raw meat in the ground? I feel like that was probably indicative of that somehow, like,
so you
head
think
first instead of...
Okay. Do you think it was like a scarecrow thing too? Like, beware?
Yeah.
Because they literally...
Not beware, because there's no one there but them, but I think that there's probably some, like, spiritual meaning.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've ever read anything about society, but one of the ways you keep society is you always keep them not wanting to challenge, so you, like, keep them afraid. So maybe that also could be a way, but, like, if you challenge us, this is what happens to you.
If you dissent.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that makes a lot of sense for the movie in specific. Totally.
Yeah. So,
also Florence Pugh, the
go for it.
Danny, she actually has a pretty interesting resume. She did Lady Macbeth, a film version, I think.
Okay.
I haven't seen that, so I'm definitely going to watch that. But she's phenomenal.
Do you think
say that her character a lot of the time was very much one note in the sense of, like, she was constantly, in a sense, like, pre-panic attack throughout the whole movie. And not to say that that means that she can't do anything else, because she probably is a phenomenal actor, guys. I mean, the movie is great. But I definitely would like to see something different when thinking about, like, the longevity of her career, how she's going to progress now instead of being pigeonholed to, like, this one type of movie. You know what I mean?
Well, here's one of the things I'm thinking, because I honestly, I don't know the young lady that well, but to me it looked like, do you think they purposely had her gain weight? Because I think I've seen her before, but much smaller. And maybe. I think they made her dress very dopey and very, that made her look even heavier. And I think that would be another core. I mean, if you're very, very sad, I think that's a correlating fact that you wouldn't care about what you look like.
Well, everyone's different. That could totally be a thing, yeah.
And I think that was because to me, so she's a gorgeous. My point is, she's a gorgeous girl, and they definitely downplayed every single thing that could be gorgeous. They made sure she didn't wear makeup. Okay, these are all things as a photographer I'm picking up. She didn't wear makeup. Her hair was always pulled back. She's always wearing boys' clothes. Okay, and she's always slumped down with her shoulders in, like you know, her chest down. You know, not, you know, a confident woman always has her chest out and her boobs out. Like, you know, I'm very confident. I'm very, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, that's where I think the whole craft of acting is, like, it's a very physical thing. It's not just in the face. Yeah, Florence is a beast. I think that she's great. She should definitely be nominated for something. I don't really know what that process is like, but that, I wouldn't be surprised if she won an award for that, or the movie wins something altogether.
So to me, do you think she's the supporting actress, or she is in that category, or is she the lead actress? Because there's not another actress, but to me, she's not. I think to me she's the supporting role. But
why do you say that? Who would be the lead then? The guy, Christian, her boyfriend.
No, I don't even see. To me, I don't see any one person being.
Oh,
See, this is a weird dichotomy.
I see
that I'm
what you
saying.
mean though.
I think that everyone played the lead in a certain portion.
Totally, it was
Yeah.
more of an ensemble
It
piece.
totally was like, because it's not all about one person. Because when Danny's off doing her stuff, then one person's doing this, and everyone. Honestly, to be
Totally.
perfectly honest, the only person we didn't really get a really good idea was the gentleman that was proposed to, because we really don't know anything. We really don't know anything about that couple, but we
True.
really got. I mean, this is this is a discussion. In my opinion, I think we got a really good idea of what the four guys were like. What do you think?
I definitely would have liked to have. Well, I shouldn't say would have liked to because the movie is great, but the guy who played the black student who was there to write his thesis, I was kind of interested in him a lot just because I feel like he was written really well.
Okay.
And I would have liked to have him more active, I think, in the sense where
Well, here's the thing that always caught me. One, he's pursuing his academic thing, so I got that off. Two, he seemed the most the most intelligent one of the group. Three, he also seemed like the one that wanted to find the truth. He was the only person that really wanted to know exactly like
what was going on.
Yeah, because everyone else is like, I don't give a fuck. Like literally, like we're on a trip here. Like,
Totally.
I mean, is that your vibe? Because he was the one that really pushed to go on this trip, because he was like, why is Danny going? Like he was
there to get
Yeah.
some work done. He was there
Right.
to get some research. He was there to write his dissertation.
yeah, because he was the one that really was like, okay, well, all right, I'm really like, why is Danny coming? Like he
Yeah,
was like,
totally.
yeah,
I really liked him. I thought that he was great.
yeah,
I'm kind of back and forth with the lead guy. I would say that Florence Pugh is the lead of the movie only because we start with her journey and we end with where she's at that point. She has the biggest progression of character, I think.
I guess for just to have a lead, I guess that is the correct thing, but I think it's really more of a team effort. So
Oh, totally. Yeah,
So it's just,
I don't
the
debate that at all.
I don't think that, unfortunately, she would win
An award?
award competing with other people in a leading actor, leading actress category, but I think she could win if she was named as a supporting actress, because because it's supporting the entire group. And yes, we're telling her story, but it's through, basically, in my opinion, it's through those guys. Because no,
I don't know.
because she doesn't go on. Think of it. She doesn't go on that journey unless she goes to that party and she gets pissed off. Okay, we don't really find out what's going on until the guys tell him to pick up the phone, because he was going to just let it go to voicemail.
I think that because of the level of detail that they go into for her background story, like the first 20 minutes
Right.
are about her loss. I think that was meant to highlight the overall shift in her character
Okay.
at the end, and it's at the very end of the movie. Like usually the climax
Oh yeah,
is
there's definitely
sooner.
there's definitely of this progression, and then it just completely goes over the
Oh,
top.
I disagree. I feel like the entire movie is kind of just like building, and then
You think
it
there is a
ends.
crescendo?
I think it crescendos and then it ends.
Okay.
Because the movie literally ends with this guy burning alive in a bear, and she's smiling at him.
But see, I'm saying that she gets to the other side because she starts to smile.
Yeah, but
So like
that's
she's like
the end.
Right. But I'm saying that we as a viewer, that I feel like she fully cleared the clouds. Like now she's like, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I just took away all of my demons.
Yeah, like the 5 stages of grief.
And we don't need to see what happens afterwards, because she's, you can just write your own story. She's gonna stay with them, or she's gonna go home and she's gonna be fully successful. She's gonna like never need a man in her entire life, right? So there's so many options there.
Yeah. And it's definitely up to interpretation what the smile means too.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. That's the whole point that they leave it that way.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
That's why I say that it's definitely a crescendo effect, because the beginning of the movie, like the first day that they're there, someone jumps off of a cliff. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, and then that night there was a kid that was going to be thrown in the lake, but then they didn't throw him, and like, it was wild.
Well, I think that scene throwing the kid in the water was really. So you think that if this is a real society, so and let's just put in this. So if this is a real society and they do this, do you think they really kill kids every single time?
Well, I don't think that.
Or do you think
that
that
society?
But I'm talking about in the movie world. If you're in the movie, if you actually.
Oh, definitely, yeah. This is a society that doesn't view death the way that most Americans view death. So I think that, yeah, they probably definitely killed some kids, some babies. They purposefully inbred people so they could be, like, quote unquote, closer to being open.
Well, I took it as being like the higher power or the strongest, the one closest to God. Or
exactly, that's
right,
what I mean. Like, to
right,
be the most open, they
right.
purposefully inbred people. So, like, they're not afraid to, like, personally meddle with, like, people's lives. And I think that would definitely include child sacrifice. Like, at the end of the day, if someone didn't say, oh, the boy has shown his bravery, the kid would have died. They would have thrown the kid in the lake and he would have drowned, and that would have been it.
Yeah, I guess I agree. So looking back, do you think he should have killed the child?
No. I'm not
like
saying
in the movie,
that at all.
No, I'm just saying for like shock value. Do you think they should have?
I think that it's really smart that they didn't, because if they did, the movie would have been over because they would have ran. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
They would have. Okay. That you can't really come back from drowning a kid. You can come back from two old people at the end stages of their life killing themselves. You know what I mean?
See, this is a good argument. This is one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to have this movie on, because there's some argument points. So you're saying that personally for you, that wouldn't cause you to be like, I'm out. Because to me, that's like, I wouldn't even have to wait for the person to jump off. You can see, look,
totally.
You're up 3 stories. What the fuck? And everyone's staring up. What do you think they're gonna do? Like,
I think that ultimately, I don't know how I would react, but Ari did a phenomenal job at writing that scene, because they hit every note, like every kind of reaction that someone could have. They did have, like, there was the whole. Obviously, the anger of the situation, like, why the hell are you guys letting this happen? This is terrible. Oh, my God, this is disgusting. This is terrible. And then everyone else is like, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. And then you have the people in the middle who are like, we are not of this culture. We do not understand the historical prevalence.
Don't judge
we do not know what's taught. Like, we cannot judge these. And that is a very much, like, an accurate way that people view the world. And I think that I personally would also try to kind of vibe with that and try to, like, emulate that mentality. But ultimately, I still saw 2 people jump to their deaths, and one person had to get their head smacked. Like, that, you can't unsee that.
Okay, here's I don't know if you were thinking about it through it because you watched it for the first time and you haven't had the opportunity to go back and see it again. But there's 2 people. The first person is a female. She jumps. She clearly jumps.
Hits her head,
and she dies instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to make things more artistically and more of a movie, this is why I think he did the second one. The second one's a guy, and he doesn't die on impact. He just breaks his bone.
He freezes when he jumps.
Exactly.
And he breaks his leg.
Right. So that, to me, is more artistic, because now we have to have this second scene where they come over and they bludger him to death.
And while they do that, everyone else in the background is like wailing. Right. They're wailing at their, like, community. Like, the community is experiencing
his pain with him.
Experiencing his, like, intense amount of pain. And then ultimately they let him go and they put him out of his misery. Which is the best thing to do. Like, if they had just left him there, that would have been, like, the worst thing ever.
But if you think about, to shoot it, both of them fall and die, you wouldn't get that much. It was so interesting to be like, okay, now we're going to take it to the next level. And the next level is we're going to have the person die. He's only going to get partially hurt. So now we have to literally put him out of his misery.
Mm-hmm.
That is so, and it goes back to them crying with her at the end, that we cry, we support the whole.
Exactly.
And that's such a major role. They say multiple times is that we experience grief together.
Totally. Also, when they were bludgeoning the guy to death, there was more than one person doing it. Like, there was, like,
Yes.
4 people.
Right,
and they were, like, the guy was a pancake at that point. Like, his head no longer existed. So
I would love, now, see, this is the one thing, because that's something, and I might want to do some research. To me, that wasn't CGI. That was definitely a good, a fake model head. And you don't get to see that anymore because we put so much emphasis on computer graphics. But to me, that looked like a really good
it was
model.
disgusting.
Yeah. It was great.
So accurate. I was like, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, but
goodness.
we've gotten away from having really accurate models that really look like human beings. We've gone so much. So that was really nice to see that it was a real, and then especially with the bone pushing out, that was great. Just to see.
Yeah, the sound that it made. It's just, we're getting really good at making movies right now, and we're still not good at all, if you know what I mean. Like, there's still so much more technology to discover. Going back to your point on, like, the fact that they experience all emotions together, that scene where homeboy is drugged and is finally having sex with this girl, and, like, all of the old naked ladies.
You got you and Adriana's expression. I'm looking over, and I was waiting for Adriana to be like,
goodness.
Be like, what did you bring me to see? Like, and I was really prepared. Be like, I told you so many times that, like, are you sure you wanted to see this?
Don't want to watch. You did say that you don't want to watch this.
Like, I said to her, I'm like, I think we really should go see, this really campy murder show. And you're like, no, we don't want to go see this. No, I'm like, okay.
Well, we're gonna see a really intense one instead.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay. I'm like, the other one doesn't have any sex in the middle of it. So.
And that was, like, the grossest sex I've ever, like, seen.
I mean, it looked like they were, I've never had sex with drugs, but it looked like it looked like they were both pretty intense and was really good at
having a good time.
Yeah, like, it looked like they were, like,
I don't think that she was, well, I shouldn't say she wasn't on drugs because they drink mushroom tea, but I think he was more so definitely on, like, he was on something, and
they drugged the shit out of him.
Yeah, and
I think they double dosed him because for the competition of the May Queen, they all took
a bunch.
Yeah. So that caused them to fall.
Yeah.
So in the movie, guys, they have this competition for the May Queen. The May Queen is the head, like, honoree for the summer solstice. And it's the young lady who is given the honor of burying food and doing blessings for the summer solstice, which will be the food that they eat off for the fall and the winter.
Yeah.
So, it's a big honor. And the only way you win is you have to dance until everyone else falls.
While you're tripping
off of mushroom drink. So, which made it more weird that Danny's sitting there and she can tell that her boyfriend, who she, I guess, is still passionately in love with, still is not like, he's not like clapping and excited. He's just like tripping balls out of his mind because they literally
they drug this shit.
And she's getting pisser and pissed because you can see to her, she's like, why is he not happy for me? Like, I just won, like, this is like the best thing that's happened to me in the last 6 months, and you're not happy for me.
Yeah.
And you can see she's getting mad. And then the thing that's even really obvious is she says, well, can I bring him along? And they're like, no. And she's like, okay. And I think she knows at that point that they've done something to him. Like, do you think it's...
Yeah.
Do you get that vibe?
I do get that vibe. Not that she thinks that they've
But she's
done
ready.
something.
But she's drugged, so it's just really hard for her to, like, because you can see her eyes like
are low. Yeah.
her eyes are drawn back. She's very gaunt in her face. You know, I don't know if she thinks that she's going to be murdered or anything, but she knows that they're not going to do anything really severe because they have photos of everyone.
True.
And like they photo everything. And to me as a photographer, guys, okay, you don't just do a group photo, have everyone say, okay, you take one photo, okay, and then you run really quickly, you shove a camera in the girl's face while she's literally gaunt and like out of her mind, and she just smiles, okay? It's the weirdest thing to take a photo that way. It was just like, I'm like, what the fuck are they doing for this photo? Like, it's so weird. Did you get that? Because as a trained actor, I don't know if you picked up on that, but as a photographer for myself, I was like, that's the most weirdest thing I've ever seen for a photo. Like, it was weird. And they're using film, too.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. I think that kind of just goes to show how out of whack and how on a different plane these people are. Like, they're just not... We're all inhabiting the same earth, obviously, but their beliefs and where they are in their head is just completely different from where we are. Like, to physically stuff a human in a dead bear and burn him alive? That's wild.
I'd love to find out what the significance with the bear is.
Yeah, same.
Now, I did, watching a couple of these, breakdowns on YouTube, they said the reason why the young gentleman was cut alive and had his back open is that there is some kind of pagan North god tradition they would do where they would open up like people that they didn't like and they would feed them that way, and they would let the insects feed off your
They would just leave you exposed so things could eat you. Wow.
Yeah. So that's where when he finally falls into this, I guess it's a butterfly or some kind of some room. It's I thought it was butterflies.
The butterfly room?
Yeah.
I think that sounds really familiar.
So that's what they're feeding off of his body.
Ugh.
Because they hang him there, and there's got to be a deleted scene because
they're releasing an extended version with an extra half hour of footage.
There has to because there has to be some NC-17 stuff the reason why I say NC-17 is NC-17 is stuff that wouldn't pass the stuff that is so gruesome that it's past an R rating. NC-17 is not necessarily sex, but it could be major violence.
Okay.
So NC-17 is usually designated as really heavy sex or like XX films where they're all about like having sex and everything. But it could be also I'll be honest, I don't know what you're feeling, but I thought that sex scene was definitely on borderline being over the top. This was not like I was floored that they got that passed through the ratings board because I thought that was way over what it. Yeah. Do you think that was?
The thing is, I don't.
So you don't think that scene was over the top?
No, it was definitely over the top and disgusting. But they didn't really show anything.
Yeah, but
they really only showed the person that he was having sex with from the chest up. We didn't see her. I don't think. No, we did see her boobs. Did we?
Yeah. And we
saw everyone's boobs, and then they're all massaging their boobs.
But they're physically having. I mean, the only thing we don't see. This is the okay. Here's the weird thing about the world that unfortunately, this is definitely a male society because think about this. He didn't have to show his dick, okay, but she showed her vag. She showed her titties and all the okay. And they're literally having sex, okay?
Wait, did they show? Oh, wait, yeah, the women were all very naked.
Yeah. They just had bushes, so.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
They had hair.
So gross.
I know. It's just weird, dichotomy that, that the guy got away with it because.
Yeah, that he didn't have to show anything?
Yeah. That's why I'm thinking, wow, because, this is like going back in the 80s and watching Revenge of the Nerds where they in the middle of Friends and Nerds, to get back at one of the sororities, they drilled holes into the sorority and they put cameras and they watched the girls get dressed and brush their teeth, and they were like topless and they would like take photos of their crotches. Now, I'm not saying that was appropriate either, but like I don't know how that got passed. Alone Midsummer, it's just like totally.
Yeah, I have no idea how things like that are even rated, but that scene was gnarly. Yeah, no, it was gross. It was gross, but I feel like because it serves an overall artistic purpose, it's okay, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I don't... Like, it wasn't just thrown in to throw it in. Like, that was very much a part of the plot.
Please, whoever is listening to this, please do not think that it is appropriate for your 13-year-old to watch this movie, okay? and at least establish a good like trust between you and your child before you sit down and watch it. And maybe this is a good movie.
This is a movie that's rated R, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
and maybe
okay,
this is a good movie that you should sit down and watch with your child, because they need to understand what a cult is, because a young child could be brought into this and tricked. I mean, that's basically how the Manson family treated their family. They made them feel like they were wanted. You know, they all had sex with each other. They loved Mr. Manson, Charles very much. So I think it's really important that you should see this. But I also think it's important that you need to have some good context, because you could really damage a young mind.
I mean, my mind felt damaged after. I felt like I had been on shrooms, because I've tried them. So
I've never tried any heavy drugs before. So watching a movie like that,
It was
it's very
wild.
interesting. It's
Yeah.
very interesting. Yeah.
it was exhausting. It was draining. Really well done. Very artistic. The acting, a lot of it was really good, especially the ensemble acting, like the guys who were like the ones jumping off, and the townspeople who were very much in, like the guy when they peed on the tree, the guy who was like wailing and he was pissed. He's awesome. Phenomenal ensemble. The script, phenomenal. And I really like this duo writer-director vibe that Ari, what's his last name again? Ari Aster?
That sounds right.
Something like that.
Hey guys,
that dual vibe
no
is
disrespect, but this show isn't about getting all the actors' names right. This is really giving you a concept of what. Okay, so don't break us. Don't give us harsh comments in the comments if we don't get the names right. We're really just trying to give you a really good concept of why you should watch or not watch the movie.
You should definitely watch it. Just know that, and this is interesting because I was listening to an interview with Ari, and he was asked, how would you define this movie? And ultimately all he did was kind of like stammer, and he was like, like trying to figure out a way to like, because ultimately what he tried to say was that it was a not orgasmic, but orchestral kind of crescendo of events. And ultimately it doesn't have, it's scary. There's definitely terror in that movie. There are parts where I was like, oh crap, that was terrifying. But then there's also really funny moments where I literally laughed out loud. Like I was laughing. It was so funny. And then it's disgusting and it's cute and sad and deep.
Yeah, there's a good spot for like, it's a very good, where we start very slow and then just like we keep on talking about it, it keeps on building.
So, and I wouldn't even say that it started off slow. Like the first day they were there, 2 people killed themselves. But it was done in such a way that the characters who were there were very much able to remove themselves and say, okay, well, this is another culture and I'm here to study that culture, so I'm not just going to leave. And that was their in. And once they had their end, they were there and they were stuck. So
it's like glue.
And then besides that, there's a point that like ultimately there's like a deity that still exists or is very much present in these people's lives that is making this all happen, because the sequence of events were just so easy and everything went according to plan. And then I look at these characters like Pele and I'm like, all right, he just has a lot of faith in his God, because literally all of this is just being handed over to him. He found not only the May Queen, but 4 friends of hers. There were 4 of the guys.
See, that's the one person that I could see a second movie about, because
Who, Pele?
Yeah, because I think he
True.
becomes a See, here's the thing that I always get, that good movies have an ending, and you don't need to.
You think?
Well, like for example, I don't need to know more about what happens with the main character with
Danny.
Danny, because Danny's story's over with. But the person I would love to learn more about the other gentleman, because
About Pele.
Yeah, more about Pele, because I think he becomes a high person in the society.
Totally.
And he's in what they call the Midsummer period, where he makes the most effort in the community.
True.
Remember
True,
they have four.
Everything is methodical. Everything is planned. Like even the amount of years that someone has. Once you're 73.
Yes.
You're.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they call winter, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah. And the gentleman that brings him over, he's in Midsummer.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I don't know if I would want to see a sequel or a derivative of this movie, only because I'm curious to see what Ari has to bring outside of the genre.
I'm just saying that
I think he's gonna make
character
a comedy.
would be great.
I think he's going to be directing a comedy film.
Okay, I think that would be a great spot too.
Yeah.
So one of the things we want to end with are movies that could be a good comparison, and one of the ones that always like popped in my mind. I'm 37. I'm an 82 kid. And when I was in high school, one of the movies that came out as a big cult movie where people would have sex with multiple people and there was all this kind of crazy stuff going on is the famous Tom Cruise movie, Eyes Wide Shut. So I think that if you want to say comparison, they're totally different stories. That could be a movie that you could go see that's really comparison. Do you have one off the top of your mind that
I don't have one in specific, but I'm thinking a lot about epic movies, where I feel like not Martin Scorsese, because his films are not similar in the same. I don't know how to explain what I'm thinking. I would say movies like Shutter Island.
Mm-hmm.
Not
is
because
such a scary movie and it's all over the place.
But it's also less dynamic, only because there's not humor in Shutter Island. Shutter Island is very much a dark. It's like a tonal thing.
You start at a very dark place, and
Exactly.
you don't progress. In fact, you end in darkness. Basically.
And Midsummer kind of does that too. But the difference is that.
But you see the main, like we discussed, Danny definitely.
I feel like Shutter Island and Midsummer are actually a really good comparison now that I think about it, because they have like the main characters who are ridden by something extremely violent in their past. They have a partner or someone who isn't giving them what they need, right. So they have to kind of overcompensate and figure out their lives, while dealing with the constant reminder that there's trauma. Like Leonardo DiCaprio would see his wife and kids. Or am I thinking about Inception? In both movies, actually, he does that. Yeah. That's interesting.
Inception, he's left where he never knows what playing existence he's in.
Yeah, because of his wife. He's looking for his wife and kids. Danny, on the other hand, is obviously, like, she goes into that outhouse room and she sees her sister for a second. I think that's what they were alluding to, right?
Right.
So she's constantly ridden with that. Obviously, she's on psychedelics, so that's probably why she's seeing that. She should not have taken those psychedelics. And that's where I was like, boo, dude. Like, she doesn't have to be high on shrooms. Why can't you just take them? And she doesn't take them. But then ultimately we wouldn't have a movie. That was actually probably one of my least favorite parts of the movie, now that I think about it. The beginning, where they were trying to figure out the shroom situation, where he was like, well, let's just wait. And they're like, no, we want to take them now.
And he was being such an ass, like pressuring the F out of her about.
But the thing is, like, she just didn't have to take them. She could have just like been their anchor.
See,
you know what I mean?
It goes back to like, he's such an asshole. He
wasn't really my favorite, but I appreciate his process and hearing him talk about it.
Like, to me, it's the one thing movie, like it's hard being a passive, because that's one of those points where I wish I could like go through and just punch him, because he's just like, he was being so like pushy about it, like. You know, she's clearly still working through the point. I mean, you know, we come to a point where she's sitting in her bed and she's just sleeping. She's not eating for about 6 months.
Yeah, dude.
It's just weird. Like,
it's just a rookie move. Like, you don't pressure people to do something as intense as psychedelics when they don't want to. And it's been an experience of mine to realize that if someone isn't actively pursuing the want to do it and actually doing it, it's probably best that they don't. Exactly. Because that just leaves room for a negative experience. Right. And those negative experiences are sometimes really difficult to move past. And so that's kind of where I was like, okay, this is an interesting...
I love how the director started with all the comedy and then then going right into Danny tripping and going really bad. He started with the comedy and like the guy saying all the weird stuff, okay, and then just like he did on a couple other scenes, he transitioned into Danny going like tripping balls and having a really bad effect,
literally passing out in the forest for 6 hours.
But it was a good transition because I think it would have been really damaging if we went right into tripping and not having any laughing, because then it would have been really, it wouldn't have been, I think it would have been not, you would have just been like, okay, but because the other guys were laughing and having a good time, it was very jar. We went from positive to really bad like that.
Yeah.
So
I like how this movie really emphasizes the concept of like unity and like, yeah, interacting in a unit, being a part of a group that ultimately is achieving a goal of some kind, because that's why everything was so effective and so nice and it's so easy, because everyone was in on it. Like when they told a lie about the guy who went away without his wife, everyone, including the people working in the kitchens, were very much about the lie, and they're like, oh yeah, he left. He'll come back for you. Like everyone knew, which means that everyone knew what the ultimate purpose was for this visit, and no one ever communicated that. No one ever warned them. It was so blatantly detailed in the actual construction of the film that it's on the walls. Like, they're telling you what's going to happen. But we're so, I don't want to say desensitized, because some people do pick up those details.
So you did see that in the actual sleeping place. You saw the drawings. So you saw that. Yeah, okay, because sometimes I was sitting there and it's like,
but I wouldn't have looked if I wasn't guided
awesome.
to.
See, that's awesome that you picked up on it. That's awesome. And they also, that was the thing we're talking about, the painting. The painting was great too.
The painting was great.
Yeah.
It was a very well done movie, very artistic, very colorful, very jarring. It was just really difficult to enjoy. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to watch it again to feel good. And if I watch it again, it's to show someone. I think if I watch it again, it's going to be with someone who's already seen it and who really understands it.
So as more breakdown, yeah.
And so I can experience, because it's an experience.
Like I was saying, is that the second time watching it, I'm literally looking at your eyes and looking at your face, because it's so, like, the funnest part is going to watch it with someone who's never seen it. And that's more fun.
Totally. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, all right. So we've come to the magic hour of a wonderful hour. I hope everyone listening really enjoyed our movie breakdown of Midsummer.
Thanks for listening.
Yep. And this is Paul and Yvonne Carlos.
That's me.
And I hope you guys enjoy us. Please like and subscribe us on YouTube. Like we said, this isn't going to be a weekly show, so we're going to have shows sporadically. I would love for some audience feedback. So if there's a movie that's coming out or a movie that you guys would like us to just have a good chat about, please put some comments.
Do you have any ideas?
I would, I love Jaws. I'd love to do
Jaws.
I'd love to talk about Jaws.
Okay. We'll add that to the short list.
Yeah, I'd love to have a discussion about The Last Jedi with the
new one.
That's the 8th movie. The new one's coming out in October.
Okay,
Christmas.
Cool.
So maybe we could talk about that before.
Is that the one where Princess Leia's out in space?
Yes, and she looks like Mary Poppins.
Sucks herself back in.
Yeah, she looks like Mary Poppins. Okay. So I think it'd be good just to watch it and then for us to discuss it, because that's topical of what's coming up.
True, that makes sense.
So I hope everyone enjoyed it. This is episode 1 of many to come. Welcome everyone to the movie breakdown, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Deuces.